This is part 4. We're in the crater Mare moscoviense. You see the towers in the craters. Evidence of green. I assume this could be vegetation. This is an old volcano activity area and lava flow. This is a bit more clearer. You'll see the rods coming out again. Square like courtyards around the rods inside the crater, and areas of the vegetation. There's no trees to be seen. There are rods there. We have an evidence of tower excavation around it, zigzag type of structures. These are more square structures coming, and like pathways or walkways. That's an area of excavation around the tower. These are very bright, as though they're luminous, so we'll come to quite a few areas where the rods are very bright, or there's a collection of rods that seem luminous, as though there's a generation happening. We've got some square structures there and excavations in that area. Again, there's no connecting roads or evidence of interconnecting transport systems. We got them there as well. That area is fairly green and concentrated and square. There's a whole collection of towers in this crater here. Similar to the Tycho crater, the towers are always on the edge of the craters itself. There. If we zoom into this one here, we'll see quite a few towers there, which are towers. Towers happening here, coming out of that crater as well. Here we have more zigzag structures starting to emerge, and as though they're actually dug into the landscape. That area just past is fairly dense, fairly green. Again, more rods, more greenery. There's a whole collection happening here as well. And again, the dominant structure here are towers, which are again about 80 meters. Some are 60, some are 100. That's one there. The ones that are horizontal can reach 240 meters, so they're usually in large craters. There's a whole collection around that crater there. And what we have here is a little crater on the edge of that crater, which is like a bridge of rods happening right there, which seem to bud out. One other crater, many rods on this side. We'll just zoom into this one here. So we've got a tower happening, we've got like excavation around there. Courtyard. Some areas are very concentrated, but these areas are mostly, we've got an evidence of a very large structure happening here. A tower, a building, a shadow, This one as well. It's about 150 meters wide. There's excavation around it, square excavation. Then you've got shadows. They're very bright. In this area, the towers are very bright, same as the Tycho crater, a bright white. That area there. In some areas, I'll zoom in quickly because they're all similar to what you've seen so far. Then you'll see the areas can be light green or can be very dense dark green. And again, all around the crater edge, you'll see the towers again, which is common in Tycho. There's an area of, I assume, very dense vegetation, but no tree-like structures. There's a tower there. Again, from very high up, if we go very high, a very concentrated area of towers happening here, all in the craters. If you go very high, at about 10 or 15 kilometers, it'll just be a normal lunar landscape without any evidence of any buildings or anything happening on the ground. So it's very important to zoom in right down to ground level. And this is one other area which allows you to do that. You'll see all the towers here happening on the edge. You'll see like excavations, courtyards. This is very a dense area happening here. So at about 6 kilometers, you can still see the white little spots. Further up, at about 10, they virtually disappear. So the first satellite images, I assume, which were from very high up, you wouldn't be able to see these little structures happening here. We have excavations here, shadows, many towers. Again, no windows or any similar structures can be seen. And it's very common that they're all on the edge of a canyon or a crater, all around the edges. That's very dense. Very dense. If we go to the left, we'll see a dense area happening there. Actually, we can zoom into this area here, where you'll see the zigzag type of structures around the towers, which are like excavations. We've got a few there joined. Just trying to zoom in at the moment. There we go. Here we see evidence of towers. This is quite unusual in this area here. You'll see towers, bright white substance or walkways or excavations near the towers, square areas happening here as well. Shadows. That one there. We have a strange long rectangular structure happening here, a zigzag type of structure, and then obviously you've got the little rectangular ones and towers. That one is, and you see courtyards next to the rectangular building. That's 300 meters long. You see like the courtyard around the towers. They seem to be excavated in the actual surface of the moon. Very heavy excavation and happening. So there seems to be a very high population in this area, which is only 300 square kilometres. These are very tall towers here. These are popping up and sideways. This area becomes interesting, and this is where you'll see the courtyard effect coming in, excavation happening. Here we have rods that are side by side, and excavation as well, very lush green areas nearby. Similar excavation happening. The rods are inside the square, the crater sticking up, and also outside, and zigzag type of square courtyard formations around the other small buildings. And many happening around here and here as well. Again, it resembles the Tycho formations, but this has more vegetation and a lot more concentration. There's a very high concentration here in this crater. So this is a common type of architecture of the moon, where you've got the towers happening around the crater rims. There's an example of a structure, square walls, courtyards. It's a very large horizontal one in this. The common thing are the rods on the edge of the crater forming a building. This is very bright as well. And just down the bottom of the right, we'll see these little towers coming out of like square excavated areas. And then this very large structure actually looks luminous, as though it's creating energy, and we've got an area there as well. So sometimes they are very luminous, as though they're emitting energy. We have a similar complex there as well. This is a very large one on the edge, all very bright towers. Just by zooming in, we see a square excavated area there, and this is very dense and green, and there's a lot of activity happening down here. Again, are mostly rod towers, but very green. So I assume it'll be in the form of grass or something similar, but obviously there's no tree formations we can see.